Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 270 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and at the beginning of all my videos, I always show you this list showing the approximate Russian losses. And to date, about 83,000 soldiers fighting for the Russians have been killed so far in Ukraine. Now, this number does include the DPR and LPR fighters who are technically Ukrainian citizens, but this number doesn't include wounded in action, missing in action, or prisoners of war. And sometimes in the comments, people ask me, Jake, why aren't you showing the Ukrainian losses? Shouldn't you be showing both sides? So okay, in this video, I'm going to show you some Ukrainian losses. And these are the figures that we currently have: 150,000 washing machines, 20,000 refrigerators, 672 blenders, 21,000 TVs, and 1 raccoon. Obviously, this is a joke, this is a meme, but we do need to get serious about this raccoon because people a week later are still talking about it. And in previous clips, I haven't shown you the raccoon being stolen by the Russian soldiers. They video filmed it prior to their retreat from the city of Kherson. And I want to pause and emphasize this, that the Russian military had limited time and limited manpower prior to their abandoning the city of Kherson, and they prioritized stealing animals from the zoo, including this raccoon. I'll link this video down below if you want to watch it. They're not very kind to the raccoon. But on the internet, supporters of Ukraine are all over this. This is the kind of meme-generating stuff given from the gods, basically. So here's a good one: Saving Private Raccoon, a reference to the movie Saving Private Ryan. Breaking news: Russian military operation seems to be called off after Russia successfully stole a rare Ukrainian breed of a military raccoon. And then there's also just lots of artwork of people who love animals and are sympathetic to the suffering that all animals have endured in this conflict because of the barbarity of the Russian military. So hopefully this raccoon can be brought home safely. But another serious news, here's an alarming headline: Is Russia now firing denuclearized cruise missiles at Ukraine? This missile debris fell somewhere in Ukraine, it was shot down, and this might actually be pretty smart from the Russians if this is what they're doing. They're repurposing old nuclear cruise missiles as decoys to overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses. So they're running very low on their high-precision stockpile of long-range weapons, so they might be converting or using cruise missiles designed to carry nuclear warheads to once again just confuse and overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses, so their proper missiles might actually succeed in hitting their targets. And here's a graphic that was put out by Reznikov. This is the, I think, Minister of Defense for Ukraine. He put out this graphic a month ago after the Kerch Bridge was destroyed, and then Russia started launching all of these cruise missiles against Ukraine's energy grid. So these numbers are outdated, but it is estimated that at the beginning of this conflict, prior to Russia's invasion in February, Russia had about 2,000 of these high-precision, long-range missiles. So you have the ground-launch Iskander, the sea-launch Caliber, and the air-launch KH-101 and KH-555. So as of a month ago, Ukraine estimates that their stockpile has dwindled all the way down to 600. Maybe in the last month they've launched another 200 of these high-precision weapons. We're not going to count all the Iranian kamikaze drones. So Russia is gambling everything. Because of Western sanctions, they can't get the components to build more of these missiles. So they're expending all their good stuff, all their expensive stuff, on this long-shot hope, this long-shot gamble that they can get Ukraine to negotiate or capitulate and end this war on favorable Russian terms. They're running out of their high-precision weapons. But of course, this isn't going to work. This is a pipe dream for Russia. Power has already been restored to 100% of Ukrainians, according to a Ukrainian energy official. Now, there still are going to be scheduled blackouts to conserve energy, but when you just think about what is Russia getting for this, they're wasting hundreds of millions of dollars worth of missiles to take out millions of dollars worth of energy nodes that European partners can easily help Ukraine replace. Europe has the components, parts, technicians, and expertise to help the Ukrainians restore their energy grid. It might take weeks, it might take months, but this plan isn't going to work, and Russia is never getting any more of these high precision weapons as long as Western sanctions remain on their country. And since we're talking about energy, I think we need to check in with the price of crude oil. This is the price of West Texas Intermediate, but all three global oil prices more or less trend the same. And on my channel, I was telling you that as central banks around the world continue to raise interest rates to get inflation under control, this is going to cause the global demand for energy to collapse. And from June until about September, this trend was pretty strong. This is the heartbeat of the markets. There's a little bit of ups, a little bit of downs. But starting at the end of September and into October, it looked like the price of energy, the price of oil was stabilizing. To me, this was a little bit concerning. We need to see this number go dramatically down. One, to help out with global inflation, but two, to bankrupt Russia as fast as possible. They're hemorrhaging cash, they're losing a fortune on this war. So look at this odd coincidence with the price of oil and the price of energy. Oil was at $88 a barrel on November 7th, $92 on November 4th. And as soon as the United States had their midterm elections, well, now all of a sudden the price of oil, the price of energy is collapsing again. Now we're going to put on our tinfoil hats and talk about conspiracies, but there might be oil companies or oil producing nations, think Venezuela, Iran, Russia, that might have been constricting production in order to keep prices temporarily elevated to hurt certain people in the US midterm elections. Now, I know people are going to be saying, Jake, quit being so American-centric. I get comments like these. Wow, Jake, that is some hubris. The timing of the Russian withdrawal was all about the United States. Yeah, right. Talk about self-important BS. I mentioned this in a video last week that America had their midterm elections on November 8th. The next day, Russia announced their complete withdrawal from the city of Kherson. The conspiracy being is that Russia didn't want to give a morale boost to people in America who support Ukraine prior to Americans voting on that Tuesday. I 100% don't believe it's a coincidence. I'm also now skeptical of oil and energy prices. For those watching who are American, you might see the price at the pump also start going down now. But it's not a conspiracy. It's not delusional. On Russian state TV, every day, all they talk about is the United States. I can show you dozens of clips where they're obsessed with America. On Russian state TV, Russian propaganda, they don't even think they're fighting the Ukrainians. They say they're fighting NATO special forces. They're fighting the Americans. So let me just quick show you this clip from Russian state TV this week talking about how Russia needs to hurt the United States and Great Britain in order to win this war.
Нахождение вариантов прямого сдерживания Соединенных Штатов. Соединенным Штатам не больно, что мы убиваем их наемников на Украине. Не больно, что мы убиваем их военнослужащих, которых они в запас вывели на Украине. Надо начать делать больно Соединенным Штатам и Великобритании на территории Соединенных Штатов или вблизи нее, и на территории Великобритании. Это очевидно.
And I've made the economic argument on my channel that Russia right now is the least prepared country to survive a global recession. They don't have access to the international bond markets. Nobody wants to do business with them. Nobody wants to lend money to them. And central banks around the world, including the United States, the world's largest economy, they're raising interest rates. The Federal Reserve met earlier this month, raised by another 0.75 or 75 basis points. They're meeting again in December to raise it again, either 75 or maybe 50 this time. What impact does this have? Well, here's the S&P 500, the US stock market, year to date down 17%. Here's an article, big story this week. Sam Bankman-Fried steps down as FTX CEO as his crypto exchange files for bankruptcy. The price of Bitcoin, the most speculative asset, 1 year performance down 71%. And here is an article considering the housing market. Home sales fell for the 9th straight month in October as higher mortgage rates scare off potential buyers. The global economy is slowing down. This is something we have to do to get inflation under control. And the added benefit, just bonus really, is that Russia will go bankrupt and collapse. I also just want to quick show you, here's the price for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage here in the United States, currently 6.6%. This doesn't include the last month where it was raised another 75. It's going to get raised 50 or 75 in December. Mortgage interest rates here in America are going to hit 9%. So yes, this is going to slow down the global economy. And as heroically and as well as the Ukrainian military has performed thus far, I still think the most likely way this war will end is with a political and an economic collapse within Russia. When that happens, all of the Russian soldiers on the front lines will basically just give up and retreat back to their own border to deal with internal turmoil. That, I think, is the most likely scenario over the next 6 months or a year. And we're already seeing rats fleeing a sinking ship. Russia's 2022 cash outflows hit an all-time high. Russians who are intelligent and Russians with wealth are doing everything they can to get their money, get their assets out of the country as they see the economic collapse is coming as well. Here's an interesting article from Newsweek this week. Leaked FSB letters reveal civil war amongst Putin's allies. So leaked emails from a whistleblower at Russia's FSB was shared with Newsweek. They reveal a civil war amongst Putin's closest allies as his invasion of Ukraine continues to falter. So here is Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner mercenaries. He's basically raising his own private army. This is Kadyrov of Chechnya. The agent, dubbed the Wind of Change, writes regular dispatches to this Russian in exile, revealing the anger and discontent inside the FSB over the war that began when Putin chose to invade Ukraine on February 24th. Kadyrov is always putting out these dumb propaganda clips, but this one is from this week, and he's showing his private army, his personal army of tens of thousands of soldiers, and my question is, it's November. Why aren't these guys already on the front lines helping Russia win the war? If these guys are real, and I kind of think they're all fake, but if this is a real army, then Kadyrov is saving it for himself so that at some point when the government in Moscow collapses, he's just going to declare independence and then be his own country, I guess. I don't know. But for the soldiers who are unfortunate enough to get mobilized and sent to the front lines in Ukraine, how are they doing now that it's snowing? Winter is here. It is freezing outside on the front lines. Let me show you the conditions of some of these soldiers fighting for Russia.
Лейтенант, я тебе отвечаю, что он сейчас скажет находиться всем здесь, блядь, 100%. Оружие не получается.
So it is freezing outside, and they're sleeping on the ground, and they don't even have real tents. They're using packaging plastic wrapped around trees to at least shield them from the winds. This is absolutely insane. Here's another clip I have to share with you of mobilized soldiers from Omsk reviewing a sleeping tent that is in disastrous condition. So these are the mobilized Russian soldiers, lucky enough to get a real tent. And as we understand from the video, they are meant to be moving into these tents, and this is the terrible mess that was left for them by the mobilized soldiers who vacated the tents.
Следующая палатка, печки все сломаны, срача немерь, все разломано, все кровати сломаны, воняет мочой. Печек вообще нету на всю палатку. Ладно, печка сломанная. Все дыры, все в дырах.
Непонятно, что происходило, кто здесь спал.
А напомню, на улице сегодня минус 25 градусов. Видно на печь. На палатках вон вся изморозь, вся влага замерзла. Вся палатка промерзшая.
This is going to be a cold, long winter for all these mobilized Russian soldiers. Here's a Russian fighter who posted on social media encouraging other Russian men, hoping that there won't be additional rounds of mobilization. I suspect Russia is going to try and mobilize another couple 100,000 soldiers early next year, maybe February, March, or April. And this Russian soldier is trying to give helpful advice, saying, hey, maybe you should start getting training and buying your equipment now.
Бля, ребятки, как там жопы горят, просто мне в личку завалили. Ебать, какая всеобщая мобилизация, нет, этому не бывать, тра-та-та-та-та. Чуваки, короче, надейтесь на лучшее, но готовьтесь к худшему. Лучше перебздеть, чем недобздеть. Не всеобщее, так еще одна волна будет. То, что вам сказали про 300 тысяч, президент в одном интервью оговорился, сказал 320. А сколько на самом деле призвали, не знает ни один районный военкомат. А сколько еще призовут, тоже никто не знает. Поэтому, бля, ребят, вы лучше лишний раз, блядь, сходите на какие-нибудь курсы, блядь, купите себе снаряги. Пусть лежит, оно жрать не просит, ебаные кастрюли. Зато потом, когда въебут эту мобилизацию, ебанут цены, блядь, по самому потолок, блядь.
So this is a Russian soldier telling his friends on social media, you better sign up for some training now, you better buy your equipment now, because the Russian military isn't going to give you any training or give you any equipment once they mobilize you in a couple months. Holy cow. So how are the Ukrainians doing on the front lines? Let me show you this 30-second clip.
Всім доброго ранку. У нас тут такі от погодні умови. У нас тут
Підмерзли трохи яйці.
заморожені білки.
О, це нормальний показ.
Кажуть, лікарі, що так дуже корисно. Заморожені. Так, це нормально.
It looks cold. It's winter and they have to be outside, but it does look like they're getting the equipment they need and especially the food they need. Final clip I want to share with you concerns this Ukrainian folk song. It's not the national anthem. It's the other song that Ukrainians are always singing. And the English name for the song is In the Meadow, a Red Viburnum. And I guess viburnum is a type of flower or plant you can find somewhere in Ukraine. And if you're not familiar with this song, let me play the first 5 seconds of this remix done by the YouTuber The Kiffness, and I think you'll recognize it.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася.
So that's the song. This gentleman right here is a fantastic singer. And on Twitter, I found what might be the oldest first recording of this song. So this is the Ukrainian name for In the Meadow, Red Viburnum, and it was an old rifleman song, originally I guess from 1875, and later adopted by the Ukrainian army. Between 1919 and 1991, it was banned by the Kremlin, banned by the Soviets, and anyone caught singing it was either jailed or beaten. So Ukraine got its independence after the Russian Empire collapsed in 1917. They were their own state until the Soviets invaded them and reabsorbed them back into the Russian Empire, rebranded as the Soviet Empire. And this might be the first known recording of the song sung in 1925. The Ukrainians have been fighting for their independence from Moscow, independence from the Russians for centuries, and potentially they might just be one very cold winter away from achieving that victory, achieving true independence. That's all for this update video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care, be safe.